Welcome back, viewers, to the PI show. We're at that time of the show where we did a mailbag, but we've got an interesting case that Harry wants to discuss about David Copperfield. Before we get to that, do we want to sum up this David Jones case once and for all, or?
Look, it's settled on terms we're not sure about. It was a difficult case. There was no negotiations early on, and it took 4 or 5 months with a lot of media.
I think there's a lot of human suffering and also a lot of lessons in this.
Yeah.
So people should learn out of it from this case, especially, like I keep saying, we're leading up to the Christmas period. A lot of things do happen, and so employers in particular should be wary of their Christmas parties and their doings.
But in America, Tony, there was a writ filed against David Copperfield, and 22-year-old female, alleged sexual assault and rape, and the story was she was in the audience and selected to go up on stage. Then she was asked by David Copperfield's assistant to do some possible promotional work, but the catch was she had to attend his island in the Caribbean to familiarise herself with the promotional work that was available. And surprise,
it sounds sus already.
Surprise, surprise. She went to a Caribbean island. It took her about, she went from Seattle to the Caribbean. It took her quite a while to get to the island. It's a very remote island.
There was a fair income boat trip and all of this too, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then she was on the island for about 3 days, and she alleges sexual activity, I think, on most days. And she filed.
Didn't she also say false imprisonment and also?
Yeah, that he took her passport away, and dare I say, performed magic tricks
with a wand.
With a wand, or I don't know, but so she filed a claim in the court in Washington State in July 2009. When she got back from the island, she went straight to the police and went straight to a hospital, complained. The police investigated it and apparently have dismissed the investigations, and there's an allegation that she had engaged in some prostitution prior to this incident.
What do you think about that, Kathy?
So
it's a he said, she said situation.
No witnesses, and I'm not sure what's happened to the actual civil proceedings. Well, look, I think there's no criminal proceedings on foot.
If she's been charged with prostitution
before the incidents.
You'd think that
this is a case of
her being believed are pretty remote.
This is a case of credibility, Tony.
Yeah. It's not. I mean, the prostitution element will not make her very credible, I suppose. But
you'd think it blows her out of the water.
The things that are interesting in the actual pleadings, though, that Harry's speaking about, is that there's allegations that he's done this, not so much about the sexual harassment and the rape, but that he's lured other audience members to this island. So I'd be curious to find out whether there's whether he actually
does a pattern of conduct.
Well, either A, a pattern of conduct, or B, whether he actually does do promotional activities there, and it's actually different.
I don't know what he's promoting, but,
but I mean, look, it's a serious allegation, and for it to for the police to actually stop investigating it.
Yeah, the criminal charge. There's no witnesses, I think. So the police, police can't lay any charges.
I reckon the civil case is doomed for failure too, I think.
But it may be like David Jones, it might settle out of court.
Yeah, so there's not too much of he said, she said in the courtroom.
Yeah.
It depends. We'll see how the magician
gets out of it. It's an escapologist.
I guess it just highlights again, just be careful of what you're getting yourself into, I guess. Is that the...
Well, we always have to be careful of our behaviour though, Tony. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, men and women.
That's
she thought, Caribbean island.
We are to be civil to each other.
They paid for an airfare, and she went there voluntarily, obviously, and it was a remote island.
Well, she actually he didn't take her on the first promotional activity. It
was cancelled.
It was cancelled, and she wrote to him telling him that she
she's
would like
interested
to be considered at the next promotional activity. So again, there's a few different things there.
So I'll tell you what, it's
we're not going to get me started on that.
There's a bit of misrepresentation going on there. Come to the island and you advance your career.
Yeah, well, and she sued both David Copperfield and his assistant who lured her as well.
Yeah,
so
well, I mean...
she was involved as well.
Yeah, I think David Copperfield's got to be pretty careful with what he does.
Yeah.
It's a bit.
Well, he
you
might have
know-
been heartbroken. He broke up with Claudia Schiffer, I believe.
Oh, that was a
Tony.
long time ago. Harry.
Oh, was
long
it?
time ago.
Okay.
I think he's
well,
since married with kids.
I think we're going to
Okay.
get onto the mailbag now.
Okay,
because,
mailbag is
Claudia Schiffer, no Claudia
Well, I think we're
Schiffer.
going to have to find a case. I think many years ago there was some Italian lady attacked 2 males in Italy, and they had her charged with rape, which I don't know how that works, but it's going to be hard to find a case in
the other way.
the other way around.
Well, speaking of
I'll
Italians,
see if I can find that. Harry.
Speaking of Italians,
we've actually got a question regarding an Italian restaurant. So this is from Antonia in Collingwood. Dear PI Show, my husband and I run a small Italian restaurant. There is a lot of wasted food each night. We live in a suburb where there are a lot of homeless people. I want to donate our food, but I'm not sure about the legal consequences of this. Could I be held liable if anyone gets sick from the food? Well, thank you, Antonia. Tony, did you want to answer this? That's a very kind gesture for Antonia to want to actually help feed the homeless, but is she
you've
liable?
you've still got to provide food that's consumable. You just can't give them scraps
that might be infected or
Yeah.
are not fit for
human consumption. So I mean, obviously
There is a
you've got
risk, Tony. There is a risk,
but
and usually the problem is proof. How
Yep.
do you prove someone got sick from eating a particular item?
But you need the 5%
So you need a whole-
too, don't you, under the Wrongs Act? You need that
Yeah.
5%. I don't know
Yeah.
if you'll get it more often than not. So
So you usually need more than one person to complain of illness of eating the same sort of food. So if you gave them to homeless people, 4 or 5 people all got sick on the same day or same night, there's more probability of
Harry,
causation.
in those sorts of cases, I think what I've heard from people, I mean, I've investigated a few, they say that they don't want to eat out at restaurants anymore and things like that. So it could be a 10% psych in.
Yeah, there was a famous case we did about a bug in a bottle.
Yeah.
That someone got a very adverse reaction, and
All right,
that was a psychological reaction to I think one of the food chains. It would have been
Could have been Kentucky.
Kentucky Fried.
Just be careful we don't defame anyone.
No, one of the food chains, and he got a glass with a bug in it, and he had a very, very adverse reaction.
Look at Antonio. I think the thing you've got to look out for is make sure that the food is still edible. It's the best way to put it. And if there's anything there suspect, just throw it out.
Yeah,
That's the best way to answer
there
it.
is a risk. There is a risk.
There is a risk.
Yeah.
Look, we're getting towards the end of the show again, Harry.
We are.
Kathy.
It's gone quick, hasn't
Yeah,
it?
it flies.
We would like viewers to keep writing into us and watch previous episodes at www.thepishow.com. And thank you again for writing in. Sorry that we didn't have time to get to more questions, but of course the DJ's case just takes up too much of our time.
Thanks, Harry.
Next
Kathy.
week.
Thank you.
Thank you, viewers, and let's keep watching and stay tuned. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks. Good night.